Hello everybody, welcome to Sailing Vessel Ruby and the adventures of Captain Bill.
And Angelica, hello.
Thank you for watching this episode. In this episode, we're going to show you some more spring commissioning on Sail Vessel Ruby, the Catalina, our Catalina 30. Some of the typical stuff you might encounter on most any sailboat getting ready for spring. Fixing a couple broken items, cleaning up a little bit. I got a big project going on right now. Multiple weeks, even more than multiple weeks. But I'm getting close. There's light at the end of the tunnel of this project. It's been ongoing for a while. And I'm gathering all those videos and stuff for an episode dedicated to that project. So in previous episodes, we've been telling you that we're going to be doing spring commissioning stuff. And the stuff that we're showing you, obviously in today's video, stuff that, again, standard, typical stuff. Very, very focused on a couple items. We hope you enjoy it. Let us know what you think. But certainly before July 4th or so, we're going to publish that project video, and I think a lot of people will appreciate it. A lot of you will enjoy it. Catalina 30 owners and anybody doing a project. I'll explain more about that as that gets closer. Okay, we hope you enjoy it. Thank you. Hey folks, so it's again Memorial Day weekend, Saturday morning, doing some work around the boat. It's unusually nice and pleasant weather in New England for Memorial Day weekend. Usually it's cold and rainy. It's going to be like that on Memorial Day itself. But anyways, a couple things. During the winterization process, we put an antifreeze in our fresh water systems so that we empty the freshwater tanks, we empty the hoses, the sinks and stuff, and we put this antifreeze in the system. You pour it in the holding tanks, and then you run it through your sinks, nozzles, showers, and everything, all fresh water systems. And you do that so that those hoses are filled with the antifreeze, that the holding tanks have the antifreeze in them, so that they don't freeze with just fresh water, and the hoses don't freeze up and explode. So anyways, now it's springtime. We have to we just reverse our winterization process. So we put some fresh water in our holding tanks through a garden hose off the marina. I'll show you that process another time. I already did some of that, and I don't put a lot in. I only put maybe 10 or 15 gallons or so, because you have to run it through. You have to run fresh water through your holding tank and through your hoses and nozzles and everything several times before you can start using that water healthily. And we don't use that water for drinking. It's basically washing dishes, utility functions, washing dishes, showering, things like that. We bring bottled water onto the boat for drinking. But anyways, 3 or 4 years ago or more, whenever, I just had to change my faucet heads. And like anything boating, they were not expensive. I mean, for the galley sink faucet, it was like a shower head faucet. We could move it around, kind of nice, different settings. It was close to $300. It was probably $285. And the same nozzle in the head in the bathroom was similarly priced, because it also doubles as your shower head. It's a handheld shower in the head. A little cumbersome, but it's functional and it works. But I had to replace them a few years ago because they were clogged. They were just no longer working. So after spending all that money, soon after replacing them, I started getting some restricted water flow coming out. And I was like, oh boy, what's going on, And I took the little filters off the nozzles, and there was like grit and sand in them. I'm like, oh, okay. So obviously there's grit and sand in my freshwater holding tanks, in the freshwater hoses in the marinas, coming from wherever the source is, getting into the boat. So I said, okay, it's time for filters. So when I do the winterization, I take the filter element out, so it's useless. I don't use the shower heads during the season. It's just going to clog up with that pink stuff, and it's the end of the season. It's a good time to throw it out. So now in the spring, I put a brand new one in. Now I will throw that one out after a couple of weeks. Once I feel that the water coming through the system is pretty clear, very clear, and no longer I've flushed out all the pink antifreeze, then I'll replace it with another new one. So that this will, when I do that, that'll last through most of the season. But even after replacing those a few years ago, those shower heads, it didn't take long. So now I do that. Also, what I do now, when I fill up my fresh water tanks from the outside, from the garden hose through the fill nozzles along the gunnels, I use a filter system. I built something myself, a little hose, put a little hose clamp on here, put one of these doodads on there that goes onto the garden hose, and fill it up. And it's a filter. It's an RV boat filter, and it's just an added level of protection, trying to keep that stuff out of my freshwater system, out of my tanks. So hopefully, after using these for a few years now, I've improved the quality of the water in my holding tank, in my freshwater system. But of course, every fall, I negate that by putting the pink stuff in that we all do. You have to do it in the north. You have to do it in New England. Otherwise, you'll have problems in the spring. But anyways, you'll see, I'm doing some close-ups of the area where the filter is. It's a Colonite filter, I believe it is, the brand name, but that doesn't matter. It's pretty. It's a passive water filter. So I'll show you that process. But anyway, so I plan to do that today. This is another one of our spring commissioning day. My primary number one project is the finishing the windlass project. I started that like 2 seasons ago, and I'm still like 1/3 of the way, but I need to buy some more supplies, and I've got some projects going on with that. That was my plan this morning. Of course, I get on the boat and I check all, go through all the check off list, just checking the boat, make sure everything's okay. And of course, the bilge pump is not working. My suspicion, I'm going to be working on that shortly, is the wiring. It's always wet. It's always in the water. Those wires around the bilge area are always corroding, and it's almost every year. I went through this process right around this time last year, and the float was gone. The float was trash, so I replaced the float this time last year. The pump was working well, so I doubt, once I get into it, I doubt it's going to be the float switch. I think it's going to be the wiring, but I'll have you follow along with that. All right, see you in a bit. Okay.
Okay, kind of what I expected. The connectors, the bilge is a wet place, salt water, high probability of corrosion and problems. And the weak link with wiring is always the connectors. So there was 3 connections that I connected last year when I put in the new switch, 2023. So I cut them, trim them, put the wires together, lifted up the bilge pump switch, which is that one there. It says sump switch. As you're all aware, there's a number of different, and they're wondering about maintenance. Well, there's never any shortage in maintenance on boats. There's always multiple things broken. Hopefully none of them are big enough to keep you from going out. It's always the wish list, the hit list of things you need to do, and get them done based on the amount of time you have to do it, your budget. Priority is safety is always the priority. And you know, and safety means the boat's operating well enough, safe enough. And these are the tools for this little project. You know, the needle nose pliers always usually have a nice wire cutter way up inside, handy. A trusty bear knife I always keep with me. The grill lighter, which is used to melt those connectors once you get them on securely. I always test the switch as I'm making connections and going forward, so I don't do everything and then assume I'm done and hit the switch and it's not working. After each connection is made, you check. And the first thing you do check, which all boaters, all experienced boaters, boat owners, you've been burned. You've gone through all types of equipment analysis and troubleshooting and spending money on new stuff and then realizing all along it was the fuse, the $3 fuse you forgot to check first. So hopefully in that case, whatever you bought you can return, or just live with the new item and take a hit on the budget. But I did that first. There's a very simple voltmeter. I just want to make sure I'm getting power to the area, and then I'm diagnosing whether it's the switch, the pump, or the wires. And again, it was the wires. Simple fix. Now I can move on to my planned activities for the day, is getting back to doing some windlass projects. And I'm purposely not showing you the boat because it is far from showable ready, not ready for sailing. It's a mess, and you see just the dirt on the floor here that accumulates. That'll be all nice and clean. The whole boat will be clean. I can't wait for that to be the case. We give you a 2024 video tour. Okay. So moving on to the next project. See you in a bit. All right, one other item I didn't mention just a moment ago. So those connectors I was just telling you about, they should be sealed. You use the grill lighter to melt them over your connection, and that should make a pretty decent seal. But I always use trusty electrical tape and go over that connection again. Kind of double protection. And these are the connectors that I got off of Amazon. I haven't used them in the past. They seem pretty good. Hopefully I made a good decision with those. There you go. Onward and upward. All right, some other stuff worth sharing. So tools, always another dilemma for boaters, especially people with tight spaces. A Catalina 30 is a small cruising boat. It's a kind of a day sailor / cruising boat on the small side for cruising, even though we plan to take off on it and extensively, hopefully in the fall, right? So anyways, tools, where to store anything. But today I'm just talking about where I'm storing some of my tools because I happen to be using them, all right? So I have here for Catalina 30 owners, I have the horseshoe shaped salon with the table on a pedestal, not the drop down table. And so there is a storage area right here, forward of the head, right above the bilge, kind of, that's a seat area. Cushion will go down there, and then wooden slats will go on top of that, and then the cushions. So down there I have a Craftsman, like 140 piece mechanic set. Sockets, metric and regular, wrenches, all different stuff. You know what a tool, mechanics toolkit would have. So then I have some toolboxes that I use specifically for certain projects. Like this one here, this black one, it's very the same as the other one over here. This is for plumbing. Whenever I'm working on hoses and connectors and stuff like that, I keep all that stuff in there. So I'll pull that out when I'm working on plumbing. That Tupperware type thing tucked in there, that is filled with hardware, nuts and bolts and washers and all kinds of junk hardware that I accumulated over time. I certainly need a different one. I've already started another one, primarily stainless, obviously. I have some spares in there. A spare fan belt for the engine. All right. This box, different color, same style and model as the other one for plumbing, but different color. That's electrical. Doing any wiring or installing of electronics, anything like that, I pull this box out and I got a lot of stuff in there. So I'll put this stuff away to show you how it fits in there nicely. You want to have things put away nice and snug and tight so they don't move around while you're sailing. All right, so I got it packed. There's room for a little bit more stuff in there. Here's the second bin of hardware and spare stuff, junk, right? Most of the stuff I'll never use. Wish I could go through a little project and get rid of them. And this goes down, and then the cushion goes on top of that. You'll see that when we do the tour. All right, just to give you a little glimpse at how this area cleans up pretty nicely. And this is my 25th or 26th year of owning Ruby. 26th season of owning Ruby. And I've done the interior teak twice. It's holding up pretty well, but you know, there's spots, some places where more than others, places that have exposure to maybe the elements, maybe under a hatch, or where the sun gets in, maybe in the galley area. I replaced the curtains about at least 10 years ago, maybe 15 years. We washed them, but now look at, they're getting all tattered and torn. So I brought them to a seamstress and had them done. She actually did each one. There's like, I don't know, 17 maybe in total in the boat. She did them for $10 a piece, which she regretted it once at the end, and I gave her more money than that, but it was quite a bargain. She underestimated the amount of work involved in that, but if I could find somebody in the area who would do that type of work similar for even double that price, I would definitely go with it. That pedestal, that table pedestal base needs some TLC. It needs to be sanded and resprayed, painted so it looks nice. The floor gets nice and clean. These are Weems and Plath instruments. That's a clock and a tide clock. And that is a Weems and Plath barometer. And you can see that over time they're brass, but you know, probably used the wrong cleaner on it or something, or there was something dripping on them. They get worn. This light is tattered. LED bulb in there. Level gauge, I put that on last year and I'm off about 3 degrees. The light will be pretty easy to replace. They sell them at West Marine and you know, it's probably $100. All right, a different angle or a different setup. So because I was doing work in this area today to get at the freshwater system filter, which is right under there, and of course the bilge, we had to remove everything, you know, a lot of things from this area. Took it as an opportunity to clean this section of the boat, 2 sections at a time, work our way from the front back in the early part of the season, get everything really clean. Removed all the decorations and storage things we have in those little cubbies there. But you see cushions. A lot of people will tell you don't use white in a boat. this little section right here that was damaged from the leaking port light above. Fixed the port light, but not soon enough to prevent that from happening. I think that happened over winter time. It was leaking, and obviously that's what happened. I purchased some vinyl repair paint with some coloring. I'm gonna try a little section there, see if it comes out like underneath, like over there along the wall, where if it looks bad and I stop, you won't see it. But if it looks pretty good, then I'll just paint that whole section. It's gonna be hard to match, but that's pretty ugly, so I don't want to fix that. Little storage right there. So it's coming along, folks. Sailing season is approaching. I mean, it's here if your boat is ready. But Ruby's not quite ready to sail again. We are targeting the early part of June for our first sail. All right, another view, and this is with the salon table installed. So Catalina 30 owners and people familiar with it obviously know that the Catalinas, the older models, they came with 2 different styles of the salon. The table, as you are seeing, this one is on a pedestal, and then the other style where there was a drop-down table from that bulkhead coming backwards, right? So in that case, I think those boats, they lost that seat right there. And also what you lose is the prettiness, the really nice look of that teak bulkhead. It's really nice, as you can see. What I don't like about this table is it's very heavy. It's a pressed wood, some type of laminate pressed wood. I'm looking for something smaller that I could just put in there. But the nice thing about this table, what a small one won't give me, is this drops down. It fits perfectly in some grooved teak side panels. You see that? I'll show you the table down with the cushions in a moment. Show you how that works. Okay, and the final look for today. The cushions are in. The 3 extra cushions there in the middle, those are laying on top of the table that I told you about, that it drops down into those slats to make a double bed. The cushions look pretty good. Thankfully to First Mate Angelica, she cleaned this area and the cushions today while I was doing projects. Took the cushions outdoors, soaped them all up, scrubbed them all up with like the Mr. Clean sponges. Got them nice and clean. They are, I purchased them in 2009, so they're 15 years old, so they look pretty good for 15 years old, right? 12, 15 years old, somewhere thereabouts. Now, it says a double bed. I'm 5'10". If I lay with my head this way, with my legs going this way, my feet are hanging off the end here. So I can't really lay here in this configuration as a bed. If I remove this cushion, and this cushion gives me an extra 5 or 6 inches, I could fit this way, or I can go diagonal. But whatever, we prefer the V-berth. So yeah, we kind of use this area when we have the table down and cushions like this for storage, overnight storage, whatever, duffel bags, luggage, whatever. Trying to move away from that this year. Really trim down the junk on the boat. So the quarter berth and which is like a kind of an aft cabin. You'll see that another time. That'll be just storage. I'm just hesitant to put too much weight back there. All right, so there we go.
That's a 1984 Catalina 30 Salon. Hopefully some new curtains will be happening this season. Another little tidbit item I can show you. So underneath the table, I have an Igloo cooler, 54 quart, new last season, and it fits perfectly. It slides right in, and it's a little tight fit under the table. And the table's down so that it keeps it snug from moving around. Obviously, you have to move it if you want to get into the bilge or into that hatch for the engine. See the tape on there, that hatch needs to come off. Another little project, take that off and rework the hinges so it fits as it originally did. Opens and shut, stays open, stays shut by itself. That got bent. It was open one time and I stepped on it while it was open, bent the hinges. So yeah, I had a Yeti 65 that also fit in there. It was a little taller, so it kind of raised the table a little bit. You know, Yetis are a nice product, very expensive. What I personally did not like about the Yetis, one that on a small boat, you know, you need a lot of space. So the Yeti 65 took up that whole space. Not that that's terribly important. The Yeti 65 was extremely heavy. This Igloo right now is loaded with bare water, soda, and ice, and you know, it keeps the ice cold for a pretty long time. Probably not this particular Igloo model as well as a Yeti 65. Some of the Igloo products will hold the ice as well, if not better than Yetis. Not this one, but anyways, from space, convenience, and it's light. So you know, I prefer it. I like it. So there you go, nice little spot. Have a tendency to keep our drinks, our cans and bottles and stuff in the cooler here, with the food in the ice chest. And another project I've finished, completed a couple of seasons ago, 2 seasons ago, is the refrigeration of the passive Catalina, 1984 Catalina ice chest that was initially just kept cool with ice. So there was a isotherm kit where you can refrigerate your ice chest. I did that, and I'll show you that project in the coming weeks. This is a typical going home cart for a weekend of 3 nights. Clothes that we overpacked and wear, dirty laundry, shoes, all kinds, you know, all that typical stuff. We haul that out to the car. Right, another view of Ruby. Memorial Day. God bless America. More boats in. Certainly not a lot of people here, given the weather. Not a boating or sailing day. That's where the car is. It's a big, call that the Winthrop Landing, big parking lot, Harbor Master facility. At the marina, I would suggest we're right around 50% capacity right now. Not everybody has brought their boats in, obviously. Some people don't rush. There's no reason to with this weather. So we're at our favorite local diner, breakfast place in Winthrop, walking distance from the yacht club. It's called the High Tide. It actually made four non-blondes wrote and produced a song that highlights this place or mentions it in the lyrics. I'll put a link in there for that. So good morning, honey. At the High Tides. Our coffee and our breakfast before we get back to our spring, almost summer commissioning. Projects are long and hard, but determined to get them done so we can get sailing soon. Stay tuned. All right, a little bit of a walk back to the yacht club after a very filling breakfast. June 2nd. It's supposed to be 85 degrees today. It's already warm. It's probably 11-ish. Nice day for a convertible. Miata Roadster. Selfie stick sitting on the boat. Angelica thinks holding the camera horizontally makes us look fat.
Yeah, the signs. Turn.
No turning, no turning. Selfie girl. She doesn't know I'm filming her. She's gonna get upset. Sunny day. Let's go.